Hey, this is Negativist, and I've been approached by a few people on how to make sci-fi kind of sounds that you're using for layering, for modern sound design and stuff. And so I thought I would just make a little tutorial about this, maybe the first tutorial in a series of tutorials. And the kind of sounds that I'm talking about are these. Yeah, so I guess you get the idea. And I'm only using Massive for this, so no external plugins or stock plugins of Ableton. It's just Massive. And I'm just starting with the default setting here. I'm gonna use a sine wave that you probably can't hear depending on what you're using to listen to this, but I'm gonna use a sine shaper, so everything should be more audible now. So the first thing you want to do probably is you're gonna use an envelope for well, creating some movement. And I like to modulate the pitch, so you immediately get this kind of sound that already sounds pretty sci-fi, and it's the basis for a lot of sounds that are or can be used for modern game and movie sound design. Okay, so this is the basis for our sound, and so I'm just gonna use the modulation oscillator and use some phase modulation, and of course I'm gonna put this envelope on there as well. And I'm usually pitching this up, so, and this can change, so this will be something that you probably want to play around with a lot, especially depending on the other settings here. So then you usually want to add reverb, and you want to make the sound wide probably. So just gonna use some dimension expander for now. Yeah, and I like to create some additional pitch automations or modulations. I'm gonna use this macron up here, and you can, it's interesting to put a lot of variables on a macron knob and just automate and modulate a lot of parameters with this knob. And at this point you can introduce some filter movement as well. And low pass filters are probably the most common ones or easiest ones to create some movement here. And I'm just gonna use a sine wave for this as well. And then also use the macro knob to change the rate of the LFO. And of course there you have to decide whether you wanna, make the sound kind of faster or slower depending on the pitch going up or down. One thing is more natural, the other one is, well, kind of the opposite, but it doesn't really matter, it just depends on what you like for this kind of sound. Okay, so, and once you have this, then you can just start playing around with changing the pitch, maybe adding another oscillator, another sine wave, same settings here at first at least, and then you can just start changing, maybe, maybe let's just route this here. and of course this. And you can make it even wider if you want to, and I'm just gonna put this on his macro as well. It's a bit too much. Yeah, and so you can just start playing around with this a lot, with just maybe changing the filter, adding an additional filter. You can also try using, you know, different waves, change the pitch a lot, and I mean these kind of sounds are just the basis for layering stuff, so you probably wouldn't use this kind of sound on its own, but if you're layering them, you can get interesting results, and especially if you make smart decisions about, you know, which sounds should occupy certain frequency ranges, because that's kind of the most important thing about layering, that you want to have them evenly distributed, not all clustered in one certain frequency range. Yeah, so this is it. Just small tutorial, real quick.